Eli was 16 years old. Every morning, he woke up on a thin mat in the corner of the market. He had no family. No home. Just a wooden box with brushes and polish inside. He cleaned shoes for anyone who would pay. Sometimes people gave him coins. Sometimes they just walked away. Eli never complained. He learned long ago that silence kept him safe. The market was loud and busy. Merchants shouted about their goods. Children ran between the stalls. Rich people walked past him like he was invisible. But Eli was not invisible. People saw him. They just didn't care. Some kicked dust near his face while he worked. Others called him "shoe boy" and laughed. Eli kept his head down. He polished leather until it shined. He scrubbed mud from boots until his fingers ached. He did this every single day. Around his neck, hidden under his dirty shirt, hung a small pendant. It was silver and old. His mother gave it to him before she died. He was just a baby then. He didn't remember her face. But he never took the pendant off. It was the only thing in the world that belonged to him. The only proof that once, someone loved him. If you're watching this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching my folktale story from. I want to know how far it has traveled. The market had order. Rich merchants sat at the top. They wore fine clothes and owned big shops. Below them were the workers and servants. And below everyone else was Eli. There was a boy named Ronan. He was the son of the richest merchant in town. His father owned half the market. Ronan wore silk shirts and leather boots that never got dirty. He liked to make Eli run errands. "Shoe boy, bring me water," he would say. "Shoe boy, carry this bag." He never said please. He never said thank you. Sometimes Ronan threw coins on the ground just to watch Eli pick them up. His friends would laugh. Eli would swallow his anger and bend down. One day, Ronan asked Eli why he never fought back. Eli looked at him with calm eyes. "Because I want to survive," he said quietly. Ronan laughed. "You'll always be nothing," he said. But Eli had dreams. At night, when the market was empty, he imagined being someone important. Someone people respected. He didn't know what that looked like. He just knew he wanted to be seen. The town had an old story. Long ago, a royal family ruled the land. But there was a rebellion. The palace burned. The king and queen died. Their baby son disappeared. No one knew what happened to him. People said the royal family was gone forever. Eli saved every coin he could. He kept them in a small cloth bag hidden under his mat. It took him 3 months to save enough. There was a little boy who came to the market sometimes. He had no shoes. His feet were cut and bleeding. Eli remembered what that felt like. So Eli decided to buy the boy a pair of shoes. It wasn't much. Just simple cloth shoes from the cheapest stall. But it would help. Eli counted his coins carefully. He had just enough. He smiled. It was rare for him to smile. But Ronan saw him counting. "What's this?" Ronan asked, snatching the bag. He poured the coins into his hand. "Where did you steal this money, shoe boy?" "I didn't steal it," Eli said. "I earned it. Please give it back." Ronan's eyes turned cold. He shouted loudly so everyone could hear. "This orphan is a thief. He stole from my father's shop." It was a lie. But no one cared about the truth. The market guards came running. They grabbed Eli roughly. "I didn't steal anything," Eli cried. But his voice disappeared in the noise. The guards hit him. They dragged him through the dirt. People watched. Some whispered, No one helped. Ronan kept the coins. They threw Eli out of the market. The owner of the stall where he slept told him never to come back. "You're bad for business," the man said. Eli sat alone near the old temple ruins. His body hurt. His heart hurt more. He touched the pendant under his shirt. It was still there. He thought about giving up. What was the point of trying? The world had decided he was worthless. Maybe they were right. Rain started to fall. Eli didn't move. He just sat there, letting the water soak through his clothes. Then he heard a sound. A weak voice calling for help. Eli looked up. An old man had fallen near the temple steps. His leg was twisted. Blood ran down his face. Eli could have walked away. He had his own problems. But something inside him wouldn't let him ignore pain when he saw it. He ran to the old man. He tore a piece of his shirt to stop the bleeding. He helped the man sit up carefully. "Thank you," the old man whispered. His eyes were kind. He looked at Eli closely. "What's your name, boy?" "Eli," he answered. The old man's eyes dropped to Eli's chest. The pendant had slipped out during the struggle. The old man's face went pale. His hands started shaking. "Where did you get that?" he whispered. Eli touched the pendant. "My mother gave it to me. It's all I have of her." The old man's breathing changed. He stared at the pendant like he had seen a ghost. "Do you know what that symbol means?" Eli shook his head. He never really looked at it closely. It was just a circle with a strange pattern inside. "That," the old man said slowly, "is the royal crest. The mark of the crown prince." Eli laughed. It sounded bitter. "I'm nobody. I clean shoes. Someone probably stole this and my mother found it." But the old man wasn't laughing. He pulled Eli closer. "Listen to me carefully. 16 years ago, the palace burned. The king and queen died. But the baby prince vanished. The royal guards searched everywhere. They never found him." "So?" Eli said. "So the rebels wanted to kill the entire family. The prince's nurse ran with him into the night. She was never seen again." The old man paused. "How old are you?" 16, Eli whispered. The old man lifted Eli's left sleeve. There, on his shoulder, was a birthmark. It looked like a small star. The old man's eyes filled with tears. The records described this exact mark. On the prince's left shoulder. Eli pulled his arm back. His mind was spinning. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to boys like him. Eli didn't sleep that night. The old man's words kept spinning in his head. A prince? Him? It was impossible. But the pendant felt heavier now. The birthmark on his shoulder seemed to burn. What if it was true? The old man told him to meet at the temple the next morning. "There are people who need to see you," he said. "People who have waited 16 years." When morning came, Eli went. His hands were shaking. Part of him wanted to run away. But another part needed to know the truth. The old man was waiting. With him stood 3 others. They were dressed in simple clothes, but they stood like soldiers. Their eyes were sharp and careful. "This is him?" one woman asked. She had gray hair and a scar across her cheek. The old man nodded. He showed them the pendant. Then he showed them Eli's birthmark. The woman's hand went to her mouth. Tears ran down her face. "My prince," she whispered. She dropped to one knee. The others did the same. Eli stepped back. "Please don't. I'm not. I'm just Eli." "You are more than that," the old man said gently. You are the rightful heir to the throne. We are the last of the royal guard. We've been searching for you all these years. The woman's name was Commander Asha. She used to lead the palace guards. The others were soldiers who escaped the rebellion. They took Eli to a hidden place deep in the forest. It was an old stone house covered in vines. Inside, it looked like a small fortress. We've lived here since the rebellion, Asha explained. Waiting. Hoping. Praying we would find you. She showed Eli old documents. Paintings of the royal family. There was a baby in the queen's arms. The baby wore the same pendant. That's you, Asha said softly. Eli stared at the painting. The queen had kind eyes. The king looked strong and proud. Could these really be his parents? What happened to them? Eli asked. Asha's face darkened. The rebellion was led by Lord Darius. He wanted power. He spread lies about the king. He turned people against the crown. Then he attacked. She paused. Your nurse, Maya, grabbed you and ran. She knew they would kill you. She disappeared completely. We thought she might have died protecting you. Eli touched his pendant. Maybe she did. Maybe that's why I ended up alone. She saved your life, Asha said. And now we must prepare you to reclaim what's yours. Training began the next day. Eli learned that being a prince wasn't about crowns and thrones. It was about responsibility. Asha taught him to fight. Not just with swords, but with his mind. A true leader thinks before he acts, she said. Anger makes you weak. Patience makes you strong. The old man, whose name was Orphan, taught him about the kingdom's history. He learned about laws and justice. About how to listen to people's problems and find solutions. Your father was loved because he was fair, Fan said. He didn't rule with fear. He ruled with wisdom. Eli practiced every day. His body grew stronger. His mind grew sharper. But the most important lesson was about his heart. You've suffered, Asha told him one evening. You know what it feels like to be powerless. To be invisible. That pain is your greatest strength. How? Eli asked. Because you'll never forget it. You'll never treat people the way you were treated. You'll rule with compassion because you understand suffering. Eli thought about Ronan. About the people who kicked dust in his face. Part of him wanted revenge. But another part wanted something better. I don't want to be like them, he said quietly. Asha smiled. That's why you'll be a good king. 3 months passed. Eli changed. He stood taller. Spoke clearer. His eyes held a new kind of strength. But he never forgot who he was. Every morning, he touched his pendant and remembered the market. He remembered the little boy with bleeding feet. He remembered why this mattered. One day, Asha gathered everyone. Lord Darius is planning a celebration, she said. He's been ruling as governor since the rebellion. He wants to make his position permanent. The people don't even remember the true royal family anymore, another guard added. Darius rewrote history. He made himself the hero. Eli felt anger rise in his chest. But he breathed slowly, the way Asha taught him. What do we do? Asha smiled. We reveal the truth. At his own celebration. In front of everyone. Orphan brought out an old wooden box. Inside were documents with royal seals. Birth records. Witness statements from the night of the rebellion. Proof of everything. We also have something else, Fan said. He held up a small vial. A strand of hair from King Aldrich. Your father. We can prove your bloodline with modern testing. Eli nodded slowly. This was real. This was happening. When is the celebration? He asked. 2 weeks, Asha answered. Are you ready? Eli thought about the shoe boy everyone ignored. Then he thought about the prince he was born to be. Yes, he said. I'm ready. The day of the celebration arrived. The market square was decorated with banners and lights. A huge platform stood in the center. Lord Darius sat on a throne-like chair, smiling at the crowd. He was a big man with a thick beard and cold eyes. He wore expensive robes and rings on every finger. Behind him stood his son, Ronan, looking proud and bored at the same time. People filled the square. Merchants, workers, families. They cheered because they were told to cheer. They clapped because they were afraid not to. Darius raised his hand. The crowd went silent. My people, he said in a loud voice. 16 years ago, I saved you from a corrupt king. Today, we celebrate our freedom and strength. The crowd clapped again. But Eli noticed some faces didn't smile. Some people looked tired and sad. Then something happened. A group of people walked into the square. They wore simple gray cloaks. The guards tried to stop them, but they carried papers with official seals. We have a right to address the governor, Commander Asha said loudly. She pulled back her hood. Some of the older people in the crowd gasped. They recognized her. That's the King's Guard commander, someone whispered. Darius's smile faded. His eyes narrowed. What is the meaning of this? Asha bowed slightly. We bring news, Lord Darius. News that changes everything. The crowd pushed forward, curious. Darius stood up from his throne. His hand moved to the sword at his side. Speak quickly, Commander. Then leave. This is a celebration, not a courtroom. Asha didn't look afraid. She stepped aside. Another figure in a gray cloak walked forward. The person moved with quiet confidence. When they reached the center of the platform, they stopped. 16 years ago, Asha said loudly, a terrible lie was told. The people were told their king was corrupt. That the royal family deserved to die. Careful, Commander, Darius warned. His voice was sharp. You speak treason. I speak truth, Asha replied. The king was not corrupt. He was murdered by someone who wanted power. And his son, the crown prince, did not die that night. The crowd gasped. People whispered to each other. Ronan stepped forward, confused. That's impossible. The prince died in the fire. No, Asha said. He lived. And he stands before you now. The cloaked figure reached up slowly and pulled back his hood. Eli's face was revealed. Clean, strong, and calm. His eyes swept across the crowd. Many people didn't recognize him. But some did. A woman pointed. That's the shoe boy, she said. The orphan from the market. Ronan's face went white. He stared at Eli like he was seeing a ghost. Darius laughed. It was a cold, harsh sound. This is your proof? A street orphan in a cloak? You insult me, Commander. But Asha was ready. She pulled out the documents from the wooden box. These are birth records from the royal archives. Sealed by the high priest himself. They list the birth of Prince Elian, son of King Aldrich and Queen Mara. She held up the pendant. This is the royal crest, given to the prince at birth. Only one was ever made. Scholar Orphan stepped forward next. We also have witness testimony. People who saw the nurse, Maya, escape with the baby. And we have something even stronger. He held up the vial. Hair from King Aldrich, preserved in the royal vault. We've had it tested against Prince Elian's blood. The results confirm it. He is the king's son. The crowd was completely silent now. Every eye was on Eli. He stood still, letting them look. Letting them decide. An old woman pushed through the crowd. She walked right up to the platform, staring at Eli's face. Tears filled her eyes. "I was the queen's handmaid," she said in a shaky voice. "I held that baby. I saw that birthmark on his shoulder." She pointed at Eli. "Show them." Eli nodded. Slowly, he pulled down his left sleeve. The star-shaped birthmark was visible to everyone. The old woman fell to her knees. "My prince," she sobbed. "You survived." Darius was trapped. His face turned red with anger. He looked at his guards, but they didn't move. They were confused, uncertain. "This proves nothing," Darius shouted. "Anyone can fake documents. Anyone can wear a pendant. This is a trick." But the crowd wasn't listening to him anymore. They were looking at Eli. Some remembered the old king. They remembered his kindness. They saw something familiar in Eli's face. Eli finally spoke. His voice was calm but strong. "Lord Darius, you say my father was corrupt. Tell me, what did he do that was so terrible?" Darius sputtered. He raised taxes. He ignored the people's suffering." An old merchant stepped forward. "That's a lie. King Aldrich lowered taxes. He built new wells and roads. My family prospered under his rule." Another voice joined in. "Darius raised our taxes. He takes half of what we earn." More people started speaking. The truth began pouring out. For years, they had been too afraid to say anything. But now, with Eli standing there, they found their courage. A young man shouted, "Darius keeps all the wealth for himself. Look at his palace while we starve." Darius's guards looked at each other nervously. They knew it was true. Everyone knew it was true. Eli raised his hand. The crowd went quiet again. "I am not here for revenge," he said. "I am here for justice." Eli turned to face Darius directly. "You killed my parents. You stole my kingdom. You lied to these people for 16 years. Darius drew his sword. "You have no proof I killed anyone. And you have no army, boy. Just these old guards and some papers." "I don't need an army," Eli said. "I need the truth. And the truth is standing all around us." He gestured to the crowd. "These people know what you've done. They've lived under your cruelty. They've watched you grow rich while they struggled." Ronan suddenly spoke. His voice was shaking. "Father, is it true? Did you really kill the king?" Darius turned to his son. For a moment, his face showed something like guilt. But then it hardened again. "I did what was necessary. The old ways were weak. I made us strong." "You made yourself strong," Asha said. "At everyone else's expense." The guards finally moved. But not toward Eli. They moved toward Darius. Their captain stepped forward. "Lord Darius, I am placing you under arrest for treason and murder." Darius looked around wildly. He was surrounded. His own men had turned against him. He dropped his sword. It clattered on the platform. "This isn't over," he said to Eli. "You're just a boy. You know nothing about ruling." Eli walked closer. "You're right. I don't know everything. But I know what it feels like to suffer. And I'll spend every day making sure no one else has to feel that way." The guards took Darius away. The crowd erupted in shouts and cheers. Some people cried. Others hugged each other. It felt like waking up from a long nightmare. Ronan stood frozen on the platform. He looked lost and ashamed. Eli walked over to him. Ronan flinched, expecting anger. But Eli's voice was gentle. I know what your father did. But you are not him. You can choose to be different. Ronan's eyes filled with tears. I was cruel to you. I called you shoe boy. I stole from you. I lied about you. Yes, Eli said. You did all of those things. I'm sorry, Ronan whispered. I'm so sorry. Eli was quiet for a moment. He remembered the pain. The humiliation. Part of him wanted to hold on to that anger. But he remembered Asha's words. Anger makes you weak. Forgiveness makes you strong. I forgive you, Eli said. But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. Your father's wealth was stolen from the people. It will be returned. Your family will live simply now, like everyone else. Ronan nodded. That's fair. That's more than fair. The old woman who recognized Eli approached him. Behind her came others. One by one, people knelt. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Your Highness, they said. Welcome home. Eli felt tears in his own eyes. For the first time in his life, he wasn't invisible. He was seen. He was home. The next few days moved quickly. Commander Asha and Orphan helped Eli prepare for his new role. The old palace was in ruins, so they set up a temporary court in the largest building in town. Eli's first act as prince was to meet with the people. He sat in a simple chair, not a throne. He wanted them to feel comfortable talking to him. A farmer came first. Your Highness, Darius took my land. He said I didn't pay enough taxes. But I paid everything I had. Eli listened carefully. Do you have proof of payment? The farmer showed him old receipts. Eli examined them, then nodded. Your land will be returned. And you'll pay fair taxes from now on. Not a coin more than what's right. The farmer cried with relief. Word spread quickly. More people came. A widow whose shop was taken. A young man thrown in prison for speaking against Darius. A mother whose children went hungry because she couldn't afford food. Eli heard every story. He fixed what he could fix. He promised to work on what took more time. By the end of the day, his heart hurt from hearing so much pain. But he also felt something else. Purpose. This was why he survived. This was why he suffered. So he could understand them. So he could help them. That night, Asha found him sitting alone. You did well today, she said. There's so much to fix, Eli replied. How do I do all of it? One person at a time, Asha said. One day at a time. News of the true prince spread beyond the town. People from distant villages came to see him. Some were curious. Some were hopeful. Some were suspicious. A group of village elders arrived one morning. They looked serious and doubtful. The oldest one spoke. We've heard the stories. But we need to know. Are you really here to help us? Or will you be like Darius? Eli understood their fear. I can't prove myself with words, he said. Only with actions. Give me time. Judge me by what I do, not what I say. The elder studied him. You sound wise for someone so young. I learned wisdom from suffering, Eli answered. I've been powerless. I've been invisible. I've been hungry and alone. I won't forget what that feels like. The elder's face softened. Perhaps the kingdom needed a prince who knew pain. Someone who understands us. Another elder spoke. What will you do about the corrupt merchants? The ones who worked with Darius to cheat us? Eli thought carefully. If they stole, they'll return what they took. If they were cruel, they'll face consequences. But if they're willing to change, I'll give them a chance. Justice should heal, not just punish. The elders looked at each other. Slowly, they nodded. They knelt before Eli, showing their support. Word continued to spread. The boy who was nothing became the prince who understood everything. Eli decided to do something no one expected. He walked back to the market. Not as a prince with guards, but as himself. He wore simple clothes and walked among the people. Some recognized him. They bowed, but he asked them not to. "I'm still just Eli," he said. "I just have more responsibility now." He found his old corner. The spot where he used to clean shoes. A young girl sat there now, polishing boots. She looked thin and tired. She reminded him of himself. Eli knelt beside her. "What's your name?" She looked up, startled. "Mira, sir." "How long have you been doing this, Mira?" 2 years, she said quietly. "Since my parents died." Eli's heart broke. He knew that story too well. He reached into his pocket and pulled out several coins. "This is for you. But I want you to do something for me." Myra's eyes widened. "What, sir?" "Use this money to buy food. Rest for a few days. Then come to the palace. I'm starting a school. For children like us. Children who need help." Mira started crying. "Really? You'd do that?" "Yes," Eli said. "Everyone deserves a chance. Everyone deserves to be seen." He stood up and looked around the market. Other orphans watched from the shadows. Street children who survived day by day. He saw himself in every face. "This will change," he promised quietly. "No more invisible children." Weeks passed. Eli worked from sunrise to sunset. He met with builders to plan new schools and hospitals. He talked to farmers about fair crop prices. He listened to merchants about honest trade laws. Some nobles who supported Darius tried to fight back. They spread rumors. They said Eli was too young, too soft, too inexperienced. But the common people defended him. They remembered how he listened. How he helped. How he kept his promises. One day, a delegation from the neighboring kingdom arrived. They wanted to meet the new prince. Their leader was Princess Amara, daughter of King Orphan. She was beautiful and intelligent. She studied Eli carefully during their meeting. "You're very different from other royals I've met," she said. "How so?" Eli asked. "Most princes I know have been raised in palaces. They've never known hardship. They don't understand their people." She paused. "But you do. I can see it in your eyes." Eli smiled slightly. "I had an unusual education. The streets taught me things no palace ever could." Princess Amara nodded. "My father wants to know if you can be trusted. If you'll be a good ruler. Tell him to judge me by my actions," Eli said. "I'm still learning. I'll make mistakes. But I'll always try to do what's right." Princess Amara smiled. "I'll tell him. And I think he'll like what he hears." 6 months after the revelation, the kingdom held a proper coronation ceremony. Eli would officially become king. The old palace had been partially rebuilt. The throne room was ready. People came from everywhere. The square outside the palace was packed. Eli stood in a private room, wearing royal robes for the first time. They felt heavy and strange. Orphan helped adjust his crown. "Nervous?" the old man asked. Terrified, Eli admitted. "What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail them?" Fun put his hand on Eli's shoulder. "Every good leader has those fears. It means you care. But remember, you've already proven yourself." They believe in you. Commander Asha entered. It's time, Your Majesty. Eli took a deep breath. He touched the pendant under his robes. The same pendant that survived everything. The pendant that brought him home. He walked into the throne room. Thousands of faces looked at him. Some crying, some smiling, all hopeful. The high priest raised his staff. People of the kingdom, I present to you King Elian, rightful heir to the throne, protector of the realm, voice of the people. The crown was placed on Eli's head. The weight felt real now. Not just metal, but responsibility. Every person in that room was counting on him. Eli stood. He looked at his people. His family. And he spoke from his heart. Eli's voice carried through the throne room. I stand before you not because I'm better than anyone. I stand here because I survived. Because people protected me. Because you gave me a chance. The crowd listened in complete silence. Every word mattered. I was an orphan who cleaned shoes. I was kicked, insulted, and ignored. I know what it feels like to be powerless. To be invisible. He paused. And I promise you this. No one in this kingdom will ever be invisible again. People began to cry. These weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of hope. I don't know everything about being a king. But I know about justice. I know about fairness. I know that every person deserves dignity and respect. Eli's eyes swept across the room. Rich or poor, young or old, merchant or farmer. Everyone matters. Everyone has value. An old man in the crowd shouted, "Long live King Elian." Others joined in. Soon the entire throne room was chanting. The sound echoed through the palace and out into the streets. Eli felt the weight of the crown. But he also felt something else. Strength. Not the strength to rule over people, but the strength to serve them. When the ceremony ended, Eli didn't retire to private chambers. He walked outside to the crowd. He shook hands. He listened to stories. He was their king, but he was also still Eli. The first year of Eli's reign brought many changes. He kept his promise about the school for orphans. It opened in the spring. Mira, the shoeshine girl, was one of the first students. The school taught reading, writing, and practical skills. But it also taught something more important. It taught children they had worth. That their lives mattered. Eli visited the school often. He sat with the children and told them his story. He wanted them to know that where you start doesn't decide where you finish. One day, a small boy raised his hand. "Your Majesty, were you scared when you were alone?" Eli nodded. "Every single day. I was scared of being hungry. Scared of being hurt. Scared no one would ever care about me." "But you're a king now," the boy said. "Aren't kings supposed to be brave all the time?" Eli smiled gently. "Being brave doesn't mean you're never scared. It means you keep going even when you are scared. You all are brave just by being here. By choosing to learn and grow." The children looked at him with wide eyes. They saw themselves in him. And he saw himself in them. Eli also changed the tax laws. He made them fair and clear. He created councils where common people could voice their concerns. He built new wells and roads in poor villages. Some nobles complained. They said he was giving too much to the common folk. Eli listened politely, then did what was right anyway. Not everyone was happy with the changes. A group of wealthy merchants plotted against Eli. They wanted things to go back to how they were under Darius. Commander Asha discovered their plot. They planned to spread lies about Eli and turn the people against him. She brought the evidence to Eli. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "We can arrest them now." Eli thought carefully. Arrange a meeting. I want to talk to them first. The merchants came to the palace, expecting anger. Instead, Eli asked them to sit. Tell me why you're unhappy, he said. One merchant spoke boldly. You've made us less wealthy. We used to control trade. Now everyone has a chance to compete. It's not fair to us. You're right, Eli said. It's not fair to you. But was it fair when you controlled everything? When others couldn't feed their families because you charged too much? The merchant looked down. He had no answer. Eli continued. I'm not trying to destroy you. I'm trying to create balance. You can still be successful. You just can't do it by hurting others anymore. Another merchant spoke. But we've lost so much profit. Have you lost the ability to eat? To sleep in a warm bed? To care for your family? Eli asked. Or have you just lost extra wealth you didn't need? The room went quiet. The merchants realized they still had more than most people would ever have. They just weren't special anymore. Eli made them a deal. Help make trade fair, and they could keep their businesses. Keep plotting, and they would lose everything. They chose to help. 2 years passed. The kingdom transformed. Markets were busy and fair. Schools were full. Crime dropped because people had enough to eat and hope for the future. Eli married Princess Amara. She became his partner in ruling. She was wise and kind, and she loved the people as much as he did. Together, they were even stronger. One evening, Eli told Amara he wanted to visit the old market. She agreed to come with him. They wore simple clothes and walked through the streets at sunset. The market had changed. It was cleaner and more organized. But the energy was the same. People laughing, talking, trading. Life happening. Eli stopped at his old corner. A young boy sat there, cleaning shoes. But this boy looked healthy. He smiled at customers. Things were different now. Eli knelt beside him. What's your name? Thomas, sir, the boy said. Then his eyes widened. Wait. You're the king. Eli smiled. Yes. But I used to sit right where you are. I cleaned shoes just like you. Thomas stared in amazement. Really? Really, Eli said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his old shoe brush. He'd kept it all this time. This was mine. I want you to have it. Thomas took the brush carefully, like it was made of gold. I'll keep it forever, he promised. Eli stood up. He looked at Amara. She was smiling with tears in her eyes. You really do understand them, she said. I am them, Eli replied. I'll never forget that. Years passed. Eli became known as the Servant King. Not because he was weak, but because he served his people instead of ruling over them. His kingdom prospered. Other kingdoms asked for his advice. But Eli never forgot where he came from. Every year on the anniversary of his coronation, he spent the day working in the market. He cleaned shoes, carried bags, and helped vendors set up their stalls. People loved him for it. He wasn't a king on a throne far away. He was a king among them. One of them. One day, when Eli was older, a child asked him a question. Your Majesty, what's the most important thing you ever learned? Eli thought about his life. The pain, the struggle, the triumph. He thought about the pendant his mother left him. About Asha and Scholar Fun. About every person who helped him become who he was. Finally, he answered. I learned that where you start doesn't decide where you finish. I learned that pain can teach you compassion. And I learned that the strongest thing you can do is remember where you came from and help others rise too. The child smiled. I'll remember that. Good, Eli said. Because every person has the power to change the world. You just have to believe you matter. Because you do. Everyone does. The sun set over the kingdom. Children played in clean streets. Families ate together. Hope lived in every heart. And in the palace, the orphan who once cleaned shoes wore his crown not as a symbol of power, but as a reminder. A reminder that everyone deserves to be seen. Everyone deserves a chance. Every king should remember where he began. The story you have just heard is a beautiful tale I heard long ago. I'm telling it to wake your minds to the truth that your beginning does not define your ending. That suffering can teach you compassion. That the invisible can become unforgettable. If you were Eli, what would you have done when Ronan apologized? Would you have forgiven him? Or would you have chosen revenge? I want to know your opinion because every story is like a candle that can light the path for someone else. Remember this, you are never too small, too young, or too forgotten to matter. Your life has purpose. Your voice deserves to be heard. God bless you, and may courage guide your hands. Meanwhile, on the final screen, I am leaving you with one of the channel's most beloved folktales. I am sure you'll love it. Thank you for staying with me until this moment.